40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. 40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim. Forty Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV, where tonight we are here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tonight will be race number, got to get it ready here. Of course, I lost. I was doing all this other fun stuff. Race number 12 of the 14 race season. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be at Las Vegas, and another 2 weeks will be the finale at Indianapolis. And so it's going to be a smaller field here tonight, but it's also going to open up a fun opportunity, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But it looks like we'll have 12 cars on the grid here tonight. But it's also apparently a bit of a vacation week, as one of our drivers is off in Greece. Another driver who is normally not in Canada is up in Canada, so two of our regulars unfortunately not here this evening. We won't name names that way, just in case their belongings need to be protected. But yeah, so unfortunately a couple drivers missing. And so with the last race at Michigan, Edson getting that win over Hugo and Craig. That point standings is right now Edson 9 points over Craig, and then Matt Wagner, Christopher there in third and fourth, 85 and 92 out of the lead. So again, we'll see. This is going to be a very, very track position oriented race here tonight. And with that, we're going to get a special opportunity because, like I said, we had a shorter field, and there's this fella who's pretty good at racing these cars along with talking about them. And that is going to be my partner in crime, Mr. Andrew Wood. So Andrew's going to be hopping in the field here tonight. Kind of just threw a banker lap, it looks like, in here, Andrew. But you've won this track in this league before up against some of the IndyCar best. So you're going to be kind of going in pretty cold without any practice, anything like that. One of those, hey, Andrew, you want to race? All right. And so what's the game plan for you tonight?
Well, that's just exactly it, right? It was one of those, let's put a couple more cars in this field if we possibly can, and this will be a very interactive and kind of weird sort of drive for me tonight. Yeah, I didn't have any practice, but I do have a little bit of experience with racing on these short tracks here. I kind of just hopped in and threw in a qualifying lap. Not too bad, just kind of sitting in the mid pack a bit. And I think that'll be kind of helpful for just adjusting to the car and adjusting to the setup, and let's see what happens. This should be kind of fun, and feel free to jump to me as I'm racing, and if I'm able to answer and kind of talk through what the strategy is, I would love to do that.
Yeah, and so yeah, and Andrew's graciously offered to say, you know what, just keep me in the chat the whole time. I'll say, so he's gonna be hearing a voice in his ear the entire time. So, but with that though, we got to pull up our grid for this evening, as it's gonna be Matt Wagner on pole here tonight, and he's got a couple of the NASCAR regular boys right there chasing him. That's gonna be Ryan Kelly and Larry Yingling there, second and third. So great laps by those two. They've been just getting better and better throughout the season. In fourth is going to be our points leader, Edson Santos, and then Charles Teed, Gary Laverne there in row number 3, and then our man Christopher there in row 4. Next to him is good, or sorry, Christopher, then Andrew Wood, our boy in the booth here next to us. So you got your buddy right next to you too, so be nice to him. And then you got Frank Irwin Jr. with Eric Peterson, and Bill Burrell and Wayne Campbell will be our final row for those 12 cars tonight. Like I said, smaller field here this evening. But Andrew, we've talked about this before, unfortunately, with this race, that's not always a bad thing here at Loudon. Sometimes that smaller field actually makes this race a lot more exciting.
I think it's one of those things where the cautions will probably be a little bit less because everyone's kind of looking after each other, but you never really know what's going to happen on these sort of races where these drivers may have something to prove, especially with a smaller field. It might be actually a little more beneficial for some of these guys to kind of hang back and get their best finish of the season, especially if they've had some rough finishes earlier on.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right on that one. So field, of course, building that gap to the pace car, so a little delayed start there. This track also pretty notorious, Andrew, for a certain race that was a little bit rainy. Then it was, in theory, track was dry, and it wasn't quite dry on a restart. And a certain IndyCar champion, that's where he pulled the infamous double bird up to the race control tower. So don't think we'll have that tonight. It is nice and dry. 81 degree 81 degree ambient, 103 track temperature. So that could be something to watch for tonight. And then give you a rough fuel number. I was hearing about 45 laps. With this being a 100 lap race, I mean, to me that means you want to try to go that extra 5 laps to get to that magic 50 number. And we are underway. Matt Wagner going to lead the field into turn number 1. He's going to actually have Ryan Kelly try to hustle him around the top side. Great response by Ryan. He might have the momentum on the exit. And it is tight there as well with Gary Laverne. Look like he is fighting with Charles Teed. And we'll see if Ryan can keep the top spot here, keep that momentum built up top. And yes, put that 33 to the lead. Ryan Kelly will lead lap 1 as he is going to take the point in this one where track position is very critical. So looking like the outside lane may have been the place to be on that start. And we'll jump a little bit back because we've got Teed, Laverne, Stofers all right there as well. And Andrew is watching Peterson there in his mirror as well here. And yeah, right now I'm not surprised to see Stover. He's going to probably be one of those drivers. He's going to really like to roll the top, as Laverne there took a look to the inside of Teed. He's got the position, but momentum is definitely going to be a big part of tonight. And drivers were really talking about the adjustments in the car, what changes to make. And that, of course, we got the weight jacker and you got the front and rear ARBs. And it's going to really, to me, we'll see if that's the case or not, but it's going to be all about getting that power off of the exits of these turns. Try to keep that car planted and get that throttle down. Avoid getting loose or tight. Trying to find that magic balance. Let's say that you see T there got a little loose out of turn number 2. As Laverne's going to tuck up right behind him there through 3 and 4. Look in the middle if he can. Big move by Gary Laverne getting around that 67, now going after the 50. Saw right there, that's the momentum we had just talked about for Charles Teed, able to jump back around. And we'll jump a little further forward because Stouffer is going all over Edson. Edson, of course, running that kind of that middle-ish line. Stouffer, like I said, I think he's going to be one that's really going to be almost wall riding it here. It's just these cars run a very different line than we're used to seeing in the NASCAR side, where they're running pretty much middle at the highest, then towards the bottom. So yeah, so we'll have to be watching to see how the lines change over the course of that run. Of course, like we talked about too, fuel mileage will be something to keep an eye on, but Right now, Stouffer is our highest climber at this point in the race, up those 3 spots, looking for 4th. Now he's going to cut low underneath of Edson. And we can see, again, Edson able to carry that speed off of that turn. And he's going to hang on to that spot while we jump back to our man, Andrew Wood. And he is under attack from Peterson, as Peterson's going to run top Andrew down to the bottom. And we'll see how momentum comes out of 4. And yeah, advantage going to go to Peterson. He'll grab that spot from the 964. It would be normally number 64, but we were expecting Andrew to be in the booth the whole season, so normally that would be his normal number. And we'll have to show off that paint scheme at some point, Andrew, too. So that's always been a fun one that even when you're full-time racing, I always got a kick out of that.
And it's definitely a little bit kind of crazy down here on the field right now. I think the middle line is really the way to go, but it's been kind of changing throughout the course of this stint here. The tires are starting to wear pretty good. I could feel them for sure. So it's kind of a learning curve for me, and let's see if it continues to pick up for the rest of the race here.
Oh, it was a close call right in front of you there with Teed and Laverne. Laverne still trying to find a way around, couldn't quite get it done. And Ryan Kelly, he is still being held very honest here by that number 6 of Matt Wagoner. You know Matt's going to want to try to get the lead of this race if at all possible. Hasn't been able to do so as of yet. But right now, he still sits right on that rear wing of that 33 who got the lead on that restart. And then it looks like Stouffer's backed up just a tiny bit off of that spot for Edson. But we're going to jump back a little further because this battle just is not going to go away. And that is Laverne and Teed. And I'll say Teed, same thing. He kind of hopped in the server a little bit late, so got a couple quick, rough adjustments on the ARB and weight jackers. So that's the perks of having some teammates. He was able to jump after Peterson and say, hey, what are you running? And then kind of fine-tune it from there for what fits him the best. So it's been really cool to see. So that's, of course, where some friends and teammates, or maybe technically teammates, kind of comes into play. But yeah, I was watching practice. Gary did look really fast. So I'll be curious to see how his progress goes. Maybe just not quite the Q lap he was looking for, as Andrew's going to sneak around Larry Yingling. Unfortunately, not the start Larry was looking for. However, again, we talked about that fuel mileage. If you can go 50 laps instead of the 45 that we were maybe projected, maybe cut a pit stop out of this race, which, again, smaller field, there is more likelihood of having a clean and green race. So we'll have to wait and see. But, man, the lines are definitely changing right now, though, because, Andrew, I just saw Ryan Kelly all the way down to that white line. Matt wasn't too far above it either. So these guys are starting to hunt for where that grip is going to be now.
It actually is very interesting because if you go to the bottom line, you're really risking a lot of that right front tire, especially on turn-in. And that's what I'm trying to play with right now. Is I think the outside line is really where you want to be to make up a lot of the mid-corner speed and everything. So that's kind of what I'm trying right now, and I think that's what a lot of the guys ahead of me are trying as well. So if you're in traffic, I think that's probably the best thing to do is to try and find your way on the outside if you possibly can. But if the outside is completely taken, then you really want to go for that middle line.
Yeah, so we'll be definitely keeping a closer eye on that because, yeah, you're right, though. I'm watching Stouffer and Santos, and Stouffer's still trying to run that little bit higher, just hasn't quite been able to do anything with it yet. And then now Peterson is starting to crawl into this mix as well. While Teed has been fighting with Laverne, Peterson's just been slowly but surely gaining on him and saying, Andrew, obviously you can see that just ahead of you. And I say, but you got that just about that magical gap of still having that clean air in the turn. So this is the closest the Laverne might be able to try to work Teed. He might try to do the Dale Jr. slide job if he will just send it in deep and try to slide in front of him. And it looks like he will get that pass done without any slide job needed. Move Gary now up into that top 5. Matt, Ryan Kelly still about that couple tenths apart of them, off one another, as Teed is now going to be getting a little look-see from Mr. Peterson, as Eric gets a great run there out of turn number 4. Heading into turn 1, he's going to go bottom. He's going to jump top here, and look at the momentum. You can see he gets in a lot deeper, has to roll down towards the center, but then gets a good drive off, and you can see the gain he's got through the backstretch. And again, Teed's going to go more towards the middle bottom, and this time Peterson really room running, but watch the momentum difference off the exit. You can see there it's probably at least a 5-mile-an-hour swing. That's going to allow Peterson here to take a peek on the inside, but then look how deep Teed runs it there into turn number 1. And same thing, Teed going to carry that momentum out of turn 2.
one of the luxuries you have when you're this far back as I am right now is that because of the clean air is there, it's an opportunity for me to cool my tires and save a little bit of fuel at the same time. So it might not feel like I'm making a lot of progress, but I'm just trying to keep myself that little bit of tire life for later on in the stint. It might pay off, or it might just kind of put me a little bit farther back, especially if the cars ahead are battling. But it's a good opportunity just to strategize. Oh, Teed's in the wall up here.
Oh yeah, Big Hit for Teed is going to come to a stop, and that will bring our first yellow out. He's going to take a quick tow there. So yeah, you can see there for Teed, and unfortunately that the way he was hoping for that one to come across. But you can see that car it seemed like he was starting to struggle a little bit over the course of that run. So we'll focus here up on that number 50 machine as they head into turn 3 and 4. Oh yeah, actually, and you can see there a little bit of contact between the two here, and I'll say we'll get another shot of it here, but it kind of looks like one of those deals where maybe just different entry points. Basically, you can see Teed they both turned in about the same time, but I think Teed just turned in a little sharper than maybe I wouldn't say that Peterson was expecting, but saying it's one of those things where that wasn't what they wanted to have happen there, because again, those guys, I mean, everybody gets on really well with one another, but it's one of those things where they say these two know each other, again, week in and week out, they race with each other, and so I think unfortunately that may be an early retirement for that number 50 car tonight, as we're going to see the field hit pit stops here. I don't think any strategy, 4 tires and fuel, because that takes the fuel saving out of the question. Now these guys are going to go full map 1. Just got to make sure no stalls missed there. Ryan Kelly had to take a little extra jab on the brakes here. We'll see if that could change the outcome of the pit exit. And ooh, it's going to be close between that 6 and the 33. We'll wait till they cycle out here to see who's going to officially take that top spot here under that caution.
Yeah, it's definitely you were mentioning mix 1 before, and definitely that's something to consider, but you are going to put a lot of strain on that right front tire, especially if you keep running that mix. So I think the best strategy is just kind of what I was doing, is just hold back and hope that you have enough tire life to do something a little bit later on. It's not always guaranteed, but gives you a better chance, especially on a short oval scenario where if you're running out of tire life, then you're going to be forced to take the outside, and it's not always easy to keep that going, especially if cars ahead of you are doing the same thing. So I kind of like my strategy for now, especially since I really don't have a stake in the game here. I'm not really running for a championship, so I'm just trying to have a little fun and see where I get the opportunity doing. And yeah, I spent that whole entire first 20 laps or so just learning the setup and everything, and I feel like it's coming to me a little bit, but we'll see if I can make up any ground later on here. But this is this is definitely an experience that I was not expecting tonight, so it's pretty cool to be out here with these guys that I commentate with week in and week out.
Yeah, saying I'm sure they're probably giving you a little bit of grief here and there as well. So but yeah, so
who's this Andrew Wood guy, and why is he out here? He should be in the booth. And why is he talking?
This? So yeah, so make sure you don't say anything bad in the chat or in the broadcast. They'll come back and they'll see it. So but yeah, Andrew, we're gonna get back to green here again. Let's say the pace car getting that big gap, so Matt's got the control, and this is different though. This is gonna be one of those tracks where depending on where he throttles up here, it could be in an awkward spot for some of these guys, because it's going to be right in the turn 3 and 4 as he is down and away. Everybody's going to have to make sure that they don't have any tire spin on the exit, and it looks like so far so good. So it looks like a clean restart for the field. Matt able to jump over Ryan Kelly through that pit stop cycle. We mentioned Ryan, maybe just that little hiccup getting into his stall, and then also he was actually, he actually kind of jumped out a little bit to the side to try to kind of come around the 6 clean on the pit exit, I should say. Apologies. And unfortunately, those couple little things were enough to let Matt take the lead here and get that clean air that he's been hoping to get there. So now it's going to be battle time again, and wasting no time is that 34. Gary Laverne, I was about to mention, he was catching Christopher prior to that yellow, and now he's right back after him here. So again, Andrew's got a great view of this fight. Edson's right there, Stouffer and Laverne. So again, I feel like from what I saw in practice, it looked like Gary had some really good pace in that number 34 car, so we'll keep an eye on him, as right now you got a good battle there with Frank Irwin Jr., Wayne Campbell here, battling just inside that top 10 position. And right now it looks like it's going to be Frank hanging on to it for that moment. Right now, yeah, definitely top 2 starting to sneak away a little bit. Matt's got about 8/10 on Ryan. Ryan's got about a second on Edson. But like I said, though, I think fuel mileage strategy out of the question here. I don't think there's anything to do to cut a pit stop out from here. Now it's just basically if you want to maybe go further on a fuel stint, just of course that risk of yellow during the pit stop cycle. What we'll do is we're going to look out the back of Edson here. We're going to watch all the different lines as he takes the turn. You're going to see Stouffer react, Gary Laverne react, and you see right there, Stouffer's going to go wider. You got Laverne running as low as he can. And then Andrew, you're trying to find somewhere to split the middle, get that front or clean air on the front wings there. I'm sure you're watching Eric Peterson right behind you doing the same thing, just trying to find anywhere to find some space. And it's not always where the car is best, it's just where the other cars aren't here. Again, with these cars, especially with the higher downforce package that they have, that dirty air a little stronger, I feel like, than maybe you would expect to have at, again, it's not a short track by any means, but a very flat track where you're definitely having to back it down here on entry.
Part of the battle also is trying to find where get the trends of what the cars ahead of you are doing, and that's very difficult to do, especially if they're trying to outsmart you from up ahead of them. So it has an effect where you can make up some ground if you really want to try and go for it. But right now I'm actually in a higher fuel mix because the cars ahead of me are all so spread across every line and every corner that you really won't make up any ground. So it's best to save your tires and save the fuel as best you can. And then, like I was mentioning before, pounce later on in the stint.
Yeah, exactly. And then also we always talk about it's very, very common mention in the Formula One side of things, the overcut versus the undercut, where do you pit early, do you pit later? Maybe the car comes in a little bit, or like you said, you save a little bit and then you really charge once the pit stops start to happen and you get that clean air. So that's always a thing to keep an eye on here. I do appreciate Brandon popping on the YouTube chat. He is my partner in crime with myself and Boomer over on the Super Speedway side. And I say, Andrew, he's ready for Talladega to come to the Indy schedule here with Area 51. I don't know if you've ever run that track and car combo before, but if you have, what are you thinking? Is that something that's on your to-do list?
Not at all. That is a pack racing nightmare, I think.
Yeah, so we got a couple.
It's fun. I'm not saying it wouldn't be fun, but it would be something that's a little bit sketchy, I think, for these cars.
We can do an exhibition race or something, worst case scenario. But I know we've seen it before in iRacing. I don't know if it's a week 13 thing or if they just kind of do it when they want to. But yeah, we've definitely have seen that before. But yeah, right now you mentioned though with the cars in front of you, and I mean it is right now. I mean they're sitting on top of one another. You've got Edson right now. I wouldn't say holding them up, but at the same time, again, it's very difficult to pass. And we've talked about the abilities of Edson to try to save those tires. And so I'm wondering if same thing, maybe just trying to keep that pace a little down to have that long run speed. And if I'm not mistaken there, I swear I just saw Ryan Kelly almost straddle the apron there through 3 and 4 in that 33 car. Matt's kind of snuck away with that clean air. He's off to about a 2-second lead. You can see the gap there. And then it's just this battle right here from 3rd to about 7th, it looks like. I'm going to watch see. Nope, this time he's going to run top just because he saw I was watching him. But I'm pretty sure I think he's chasing lines right now. But man, this fight right here, though, right in front of you, Andrew, I'm wondering at what point do we see Stouffer make a big move, kind of like we talked about maybe that slide job where he just really tries to send it, clear himself, and then kind of slide back up and give Edson the dirty air. Again, still very early in the race. I'm sure he's going to want to let things settle in a little bit, but I'm sure when you feel like you're being slowed up a little bit at a track that's very difficult to pass at, it's one of those things where at some point the aggression, I wouldn't say desperation, but maybe just that aggression ramps up a little bit where it's like, okay, I gotta try something here.
As a driver, I would say that Edson's holding people up, but you never know what's really going on in the cockpit of these guys if they're really trying to give a whole nother different scenario to people that are watching. So it's possible that he could be saving his tires and doing the same sort of thing I was doing in the first stint. Stouffer looks like he's going for a move here.
Yep, I say this is the closest he's come out of turn 4. And you can see that the momentum, though, still goes back to that number 20. So he's going to hang on to that 3rd spot for the moment still. So now Stouffer's going to try to have to regroup. And then, of course, like I said, as soon as he's going to have a little momentum loss, that's going to open the door for Gary Laverne. So right now Stouffer's having to watch ahead and behind because any bobble he makes, Gary's going to try to capitalize on that because same thing for Gary. He knows he's got pace in that number 34. He's going to try to push himself forward as well. And then, of course, same thing for Gary. If he has any little bobble, you and Peterson are going to be right there as well. So that's what makes this situation right now very difficult where you can't just watch in front of you. So I'm sure Andrew, I'm sure Chris here is trying to drive a little differently than he might normally. Like, he might normally want to run a little lower to try something. The problem is, I think if he does that, immediately you're going to see Laverne there run probably to the outside, try to pin him down, and at that point maybe cost him that 4th spot. So it's, like I said, it's a very difficult situation to be in. You can see again now Gary getting the inside line. A great run there, actually holds pretty even here. So say if anybody could maybe make the inside move work, we'll have to keep an eye on Gary over the course of this race, because he's done a great job here as he's going to again hold even with that 13 coming out of 2. There goes Stover. He's going to take another look. Now it's all about that drive off. And you can see there Stover rolled out of it just a tiny bit. Make sure he didn't make contact with that 20. Again, they respect these guys. They'll race hard, but they're going to race as clean as humanly possible. And yeah, here you go, though. Now you've got those 5 cars under a blanket. And, Andrew, you're back. Peterson's back in there. So yeah, you're in for a fun little treat here, trying to find your way through now. As you can see, you're going to peak a little lower than the rest of those guys. Just trying to find that cleaner on the front wing there. And you can see, again, the momentum loss that Gary had, that's opened the door for you to try to run a different line here. As you can see, everybody else is kind of running that middle to top there. Has a good run on the exit. Same thing there. And that's a great exit for you here. We'll see how turn 3 goes. Again, hoping for the clean air. And we'll see what Gary's able to do on that second lane. And, oh, man, that is tight. I don't know if you're nervous behind the wheel, but you're making me nervous up top here. And, yeah, say again, just that little bit of momentum shift that goes to that outside lane. That's really right now the big difference. But I'm gonna let you keep focusing, so I'm sure this is not where you want to be talking. And then driving has maybe a little bit of net code there. Gary, oh, he saves it, then he loops it around here, and this will bring out the yellow. And I honestly think that may have been net code. I know that's the exact opposite of what you're looking for there, Andrew. But we'll take a look there.
Yeah, that's actually finding. that was more me trying to get out of it. Actually, if I'm not sure if Gary would see it that way, probably, but I saw that I was already kind of in over my skis entering turn 3, so I was trying to back out of it. But unfortunately, when I was trying to back out of it, there was a little bit of that contact there. So,
yeah, just a very you're right. And it's again very different situation, but very similar as well from where we're looking here, compared to the Peterson and Teed contact, where you both are turning in. And then I think again, it just looks like that outside car came in a little tighter, I guess you can say, and you can see the seam.
Oh, so the outside car was also part of the problem there.
So yeah, so it's close, and yeah, you're right. You got Peterson right there as well, kind of keeping you guys honest as well. But that said, though, really great save for Gary. Had it held on to, then of course at that point the tires are just roasted from what he was doing. But then he's able to keep it safe, and you can see those guys do a great job avoiding him there. So that's going to bring the caution back out here. And same thing, no strategy. Everybody's going to come in, take tires and fuel, and then we'll see the strategy, because we're going to throw it right back into that fuel strategy here, Andrew, because we're going to probably restart right around that lap number 50 mark. Ooh, Ryan Kelly's trying to stay tight to Matt there and had to actually stab the brake a little bit to avoid any contact. So now everybody's going to try to hit their stalls nice and clean. Again, it's just one of those ones where you don't want to overshoot, that we can hang on to that position. And you can see there again, yep, everybody's going to hold serve in those top 4 positions. Peterson, and then yourself, Andrew. And then, yeah, Frank Irwin Jr., Wayne Campbell, Larry Yingling, Bill Burrell, and Gary Laverne. So, I'll say everybody's still in this race, still on that lead lap. So, we still got those 11 cars here on track. Matt's going to hang on to that top spot. So, haven't quite got that fuel run to see how the cars are going to behave when they get really light. But this throws you right back into that fuel window here again, Andrew, like we talked about. I was hearing about 45 on full rich. So now it's just going to be the question mark of, does somebody try to save these 2 fuel runs to be able to make it on a 1-stopper potentially. So maybe a situation where being the leader here could maybe not be the best potential. But at the same time, with the passing difficulty, we'll see maybe these leaders do try to fuel strats as well. So we're going to restart this thing. It'll be on lap 49. So it's going to be just outside of that 50 mark that we were just talking about.
Yeah, and if Gary's watching, no one likes to see some random person come into this race and kind of ruin a really good thing going there. But I really was trying. I knew that I wasn't going to make the entry to 3. The entry was just way too shallow, so I was trying to get out of it, but I think I got out of it just a little bit too late, and I didn't even feel that there was contact there, but apparently there was. So you never want to show up to a race and be that guy that causes the incident. So I do deeply apologize for that, but let's see what happens from here. I think I finally got a style going here, and hopefully there's not a wall of cars up ahead where I might be able to do something going forward.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun to see. And again, I mean, that's what's gonna happen in these things. You're super close quarters. We're back underway. Matt's gonna lead the field here again, back to green, and once again, it looks like it's a pretty nice and clean start through the field. So now it's again going to be first off getting those tires back up to temperature. Again, it's going to take that lap or so to really get them up to song. Turn 3 to me is always kind of the scary place to come in full send because they're not quite there yet. But we'll see how these guys get through. And so far, it's looking good. And yeah, looks like we're going to be nice and clean. Oh, Peterson around. And our man Andrew involved. Oh, Larry England, I think, got a piece as well. And that may have been tire temps not coming in, as it looked like Peterson had a big snap there on exit. We'll go back and check, but unfortunately, Andrew, you've had to send yourself back to pit lane to get a tow here. But let's take another look on this one. From what I saw there, let's take a look here. Does that car still step out?
I think this is one of those that the internet is the internet is not really our friend tonight. So yeah, it was a valiant effort there. I think I pretty much kept my line for everything that was going on there, but perhaps I should just exit the car now and hang out with you in the booth.
Yeah, so we went back and looked, and yeah, I mean that it's a fair distance of net code, and and again, I know you're polar opposite of me, or we'd be doing the opposite way, where I'm sure you're not happy about how that went, and then from where I am, it's like, oh yeah, I don't think there's like that's just a netcode situation, but yeah, so unfortunate. We've got a couple cars now on pit road. Strategy could come into play here, Andrew. I'm curious to see, is anybody going to go ahead and tuck in? And answer is yes. Stouffer's going to be the first of those to pit. Bill Burrell as well. I like this strategy because, like I said, with the yellow, it might put people closer, but I think it's going to allow Stouffer to be a little more aggressive on this one.
I think if Matt has kept the lead as he has done for this entire race, it's going to be very hard to unseat that. It definitely seems like that the track position is always kind of a thing on these short ovals. You always want to do your best to try and make the best position you can. If there's any sort of fuel save, like we were mentioning before, you want to maybe do it early so you can make your way up little by little and everything. But I think that the track position is what's best, and there hasn't really been a lot of movement so far. So I think if Matt has been able to hold on to the lead, it's going to have to be something that sneaks up on him in order to take that spot.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be tough, I think, to get around that 6 car. Like I said, it's going to be just about the execution here. So we're going to see that pace car pull off. It's going to hand it back over to that number 6. Actually, I think pace car is still on track. I apologize. I can tell you Peterson is back out on track, as is Larry Yingling. I'm waiting for the timing scoring to fully up to date here because I'm not sure. It's showing them 2 down. I think it was just the one they may have lost. So I want that to update and double check on that one. So that'll still leave us 10 cars here on track. And so, yes, I'll wait for the restart, basically, kind of get everything dialed back in here. So now it's on the one to go here. Matt's going to lead this restart. And honestly, I still like this move from Stouffer because he's going to have, again, some yellow laps, of course, but 51 laps, or pit on lap 51 versus lap 46 for Matt. That could be a big difference about how aggressive you can be. So I'm going to be really intrigued to see what it looks like here on this one. And we'll have to wait and see. You can see Ryan Kelly, he's getting right up on that gearbox of Matt to be ready for it. And yeah, we'll see what the strategy is going to be. We're going to see, obviously, a little bit of a shakeup in the running positions. That's moved Frank Irwin Jr., Wayne Campbell now up into those top 5 positions as Matt is down and away, back under green here. And Ryan Kelly, a huge jump out. Is that Matt maybe strategizing? No, Matt's going to hustle it back into turn number 1. I'm wondering if Matt was maybe in the wrong fuel map there for a split second, caught it just in time. But Ryan Kelly just about snuck past there and got that got the lead back, I should say, like he was able to do on that initial start of the race, but put the 6 back to the point here. And I would expect to see Gary Laverne ready to make some quick moves early, try to get back up where he was, as he's going to immediately take a look under Wayne Campbell, I apologize. And he's, again, pretty even out of turn number 2 here. Got to slot back in, though. Doesn't quite have the momentum yet. Again, probably built some temperatures up. He'll probably start to feel a little more comfortable as right now things continue on. And does look like Time Scoring has decided that it is 2 laps down versus the 1. I thought it was just the 1 down, but so right now that is where that is at. And yeah, right now, good fight here. Right now, Gary Laverne, Wayne Campbell trying to get that top 5 spot back. And then just in front of them is Frank Irwin Jr. as well, then Edson Santos. So I think fuel's going to come into play here. You see right now, Christopher, he is creeping up into that pack as well, as Matt just ran the fastest lap of the race that previous time around. But right now, this is the battle on track here, is going to be between that 34 and that 42.
I've decided to enter the track again, just maybe for a little bit more practice. Since I've been out here already, I like to kind of play around with a few things. So I'm chilling in the back right now, not really going to try and get myself too involved. If a battle arises, so be it. But yeah, my race is pretty much over after that tow and everything. So yeah, I kind of want to feel things out of here a little bit, and I can give a little bit more insight later on, just based on how everything is going, of how the car's handling, what lines everyone's taking, and whatnot. So I'm here for the commentary and everything. Let's see how it goes.
I appreciate it. And yeah, so Gary able to get around Wayne Campbell, and now he's going to set his sights on the next 2 ahead, and that's going to be Frank Irwin Jr., then the 20 of Edson Santos. So honestly, Gary really not that far off of where he was prior to the yellow. So this is definitely put him back in the running, I think. So he's in a great spot right now. And again, he's pretty much the only car I'm seeing right now in this main pack that's really running a lower line here in this pack right there. You can see a little further back, Ryan Kelly, Matt Wagner, they are starting to move around as well. So let's take a look here. We'll try to find an angle that'll show us all these turns here. So what we will do is we're going to look at the turn 1 entry, I should say, and kind of take a look to see how they're running on the line side of things. So start with Matt Wagner, you see there kind of middle, and then you can see there that red car you can see right there, that was Gary Laverne, and running right down on that bottom, and he is now almost alongside of Frank Irwin. He's going to regroup here, try one more time through 3 and 4, and yeah, he's pretty much straddling that first and second seam there, which I always talk about the banking differential being dangerous here, but if that car is running a little tight, Andrew, I say you can try to straddle those seams a little bit just to get that little bit different, kind of the extra rotation, if you will. So I'm wondering if that's what that 34 is looking for Gary, as right now, again, you can see it just runs right on that seam at that dotted line there. So right now, again, holding about 2/10 off of Frank about 2/10 off of Edson here. I think Edson's running to a fuel number. I think that 20 car, I think he's just trying to go far on fuel if he can. From what I'm saying, I think he's got more pace. He just hasn't shown it yet.
I actually find it very interesting, Gail. Like last time we ran here, I don't remember all the cars using the very high side. And as you were mentioning that seam in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it did seem to almost upset the car more than normal. So some people are going on that seam and the car is reacting just fine. Myself, for example, and I've used it a few times and nothing's really upset the car, but everyone seems to really, really love being on that high side, which I find very interesting. So the setup is probably a little bit more neutral compared to what it usually is around here. And I think it's interesting that some guys really are trying to use that high side more than anything, because that's just going to kill your right side, especially your right front.
Yeah, so I've been watching Gary. He's pretty much committed to that inside line. And I think, yeah, now he's going to finally complete that pass. It took about 2 laps to get around Frank. He could have forced the issue if he had chose to, but opted not to. And so now he's up into that 4 spot. Now he's got his eyes set on Edson. And so I think of the drivers that were going after that 20 car, I think Gary is going to be one of the ones that has the best opportunity, because from what I've seen all race long, he has been pretty much one of the best to really run that inside line. So we're going to hop on board on the cockpit of that 34 machine of Gary Laverne, watch him through 1 and 2, and actually looks like he's going to run kind of the middle lane here as Edson runs top. And actually, as I say, middle lane, just look where the seams are. Nope, he was definitely more towards the inside line here, but gets a great exit. You can see already showing his nose that, all right, this is the lane I'm going to be running. And Edson, again, he's going to pretty much run the second seam, while Gary's going to run that bottom lane once more here. And you can see pretty even, a little momentum for Edson there out of turn number 4. And once again, now Edson's actually moving down a little bit. It's going to feed a little dirty air to that number 34 car. So Gary's going to have to try to see, maybe he tries something different here, where if he sees Edson's running the lane he's been running, maybe we see Gary run a little higher to try to see if he can then maybe catch that 20 off guard and try to get that momentum on exit. So we'll see if we see that adjustment to, right now you can see just, yeah, right there, pretty much almost in the tire tracks of that 20 car, just able to get that left rear wing down just a little lower. But if I'm Gary here, I might try to run the kind of slingshot the top side here in the next lap or two, try to catch that 20 off guard, see if you can do something up there.
I'm slowly experimenting with that lower line banking issue that we were talking about before, and it's not upsetting the car at all, which I find very interesting. You don't have any power out on exit, but you do have enough that you can gain on the middle part of the corner. If you spook someone off their line a little bit or throw the momentum off, you could be right there for the taking. But it just really takes someone with a lot of grit on the outside to say, oh my goodness, someone's just flying in on me on the inside. So it's very interesting that these are not lines I'm very much used to running on this track. So it's working.
Yeah, and you can see now also Stouffer, he's worked his way up. He's trying to get around Wayne Campbell. That would be for the 6th position. But so far, Gary's been pretty committed to that bottom line. You can see Frank Irwin Jr. He is still right there in that pack as well. So yeah, I'm a little surprised here. Like I said, I feel like it's been a few laps now where the 34 has been pretty much now stuck in the rear wing of that number 20, just kind of following his tire tracks. So again, I mean, I feel like you've seen the guy in front of you. He's reacted to the lane you're running. He's running the exact same lane now, kind of forcing him to run a little bit lower. And so based on that, I mean, like I said, if I'm the 34, yeah, you mentioned it maybe runs the tires a little hotter. As you see there, actually, he's going to inner high, but he's going to do a big apex down to the bottom. But yeah, I kind of thought at this point Gary would be trying something a little different, just to try to keep Edson on his toes a little bit. Maybe just, like I said, maybe make him look in his mirror and just throw him off his game a little bit.
I'm trying to see what is going on up here. I almost feel like there's a fuel save happening, because I'm catching a lot of these guys up ahead of me very, very quickly in the corners. So I think there is still somewhat of a fuel save situation happening in this race right now. Again, me being a couple laps down, I really don't have anything to lose. So I'm just kind of going mix one and seeing what I can make out of it without, trying to take anyone else out of this race that I have done so far. So I think everyone from, I think this is Matt up at the front of this line here on back, all seem to be doing a fuel save. And some people might be trying to make some moves forward or maybe fall back a little bit depending on the situation.
Yeah, it's very possible. And I think, like I said, I do feel like Edson was probably doing fuel save earlier in the race. I think maybe it's the same case now. Just crossed the halfway point. And saying Brandon's really kind of keeping an eye on things too, as he was noticing the same thing. Matt maybe not building as big of a gap, as there's a big move by Gary there. Got a great exit up top. He's going to try to cut underneath back to the bottom. Couldn't quite get it done here. So that's, I think, what Gary needs to do, though, is he needs to try to get that over-under on that number 20 car, where, again, just try to keep Edson guessing what lane he's going to take. Am I going high? Am I going low? And again, though, this time he's going to stay same thing right in the tire tracks, just going to get fed dirty air there by Edson. And so, yeah, I really think that, again, I'm going to be keeping on harping on it, looks like, but I want to see Gary run the top line here, just get that momentum, see if he can make something happen on the exit. But right now he's pretty committed. Saw Stouffer there have a little moment there out of turn number 4. Looked like got a little wider than he's wanting to. Here's that top run we're talking about there, and he is going to get right to the side. Can he get to him? Oh, it's close. He's got the momentum. He is to the side pod. But again, they're not quite enough to make a move. But I think Gary is realizing that's going to be where to make it happen. Now he's going to do the over-under here. Going to get side by side this time. Will get it into turn number 1. We'll see. Does he send it deep? He is. Yes, Edson. I think Edson gives there. He says, nope, this isn't worth the gamble. And so it took a lot of effort, a lot of just dedication there by Gary. But he does now move up to third. So I'm going to be watching his lap times now with that clean air, because I think that 34 car is going to be rolling up on Ryan Kelly here pretty quick.
Still find it very interesting that everybody up ahead of me is taking the high line, and the low line is making up a lot of space. So I think eventually it's going to connect with someone. I'm doing a lot of heavy lifting here, making up a ton of time. So I'm really not trying to make any big moves on anyone because of the situation I'm in. But it's just very interesting, and nobody is exploring that low line.
Yeah, so like I said, I feel like Gary was really the only one doing it. Even now with the clean air, he's still running fairly low. Like I just saw you there, not quite as low as you were that last lap, but I do feel like he's definitely been one running a lower line than the others. And it's actually brought now Frank Irwin. Yeah, as I look there, you can see there Stouffer and Peterson running pretty much rim riding that one. But yeah, I mean, and then yeah, there it is, the last lap there. Laverne ran a 22.64. It was a 65 for Ryan Kelly. But Matt Wagner's a 22.80, so they were a tenth and a half quicker than our leader. Like Brandon said, though, I'm wondering if Matt's doing a little bit of fuel save as well in that number 6 car, trying to save some fuel to make sure he can one-stop this thing to the end, because it, like I said, they said 45 laps full, Rich. This is a track you can save a fair bit. Instead of braking on entry, you can roll out of it. So we might be seeing a little bit of that, as well as, yeah, right now Laverne, again, one of the quicker cars on track. That previous lap down to about... it's like about 1.5 seconds or so off of Ryan Kelly. And then about, you can see on the timing scoring, about 2.5 off of Matt Wagner. So he's getting there, but it's not like he's kind of just gone lights out from here. So maybe also same thing, maybe managing that pace a little bit. But Ryan Kelly is starting to creep in a little bit more and more to that number 6. But then when we look at the fuel side of things, if they can't make it on one stop, that would put Christopher, Bill Burrell in the catbird seat, because those two pit at lap 51, those extra couple laps, to see if they make a difference. But right now, yeah, this is the closest pack that you're in right now here. You've got Stouffer there, you've got Campbell, you've got Irwin, all right together there. Peterson's right there with you as well. So right now, this is pretty much the closest pack on track. But as I say that, though, that 33 is creeping in ever closer here. We're going to hop on board and watch the lanes that are being taken. And also, of course, you can see also these guys going through the gears here, not keeping it in 6th gear all the time, anything like that. So Ryan's bringing it all the way down to 4th gear. And, yeah, pretty much running the flat there. And it's been working. I say it again, not sure if there's some extra fuel saving going on behind the scenes in the 6 car. We don't really get to see that. But yeah, Ryan is definitely trying to keep Matt honest, keep him looking in the mirrors of that number 6 machine. But in the background, Gary Laverne, a tenth quicker than Ryan Kelly, 2 tenths quicker than Matt Wagner. And there you go. Ryan's going to move top there, kind of do that late apex down and get a good exit off and bring that gap down to less than 2 seconds here entering turn number 1.
I could definitely tell that the guys ahead of me are struggling, just running the high side over and over again. I'm pretty much off throttle through both sides of the track for the most part. I think Stouffer finally gave me the spot there after he was struggling so much. But I think that Wayne Campbell is having the hardest time right now, just trying to hang on to the line, because Peterson keeps trying to throw it in there. But the tire life is starting to run out for sure. I think I have a little bit more tire life than the cars ahead of me, but still trying to be as careful as I can not to really infiltrate those positionings up there.
And then, yeah, so peeking on the chat. So, yeah, so Brendan, a normal pit stop for tires and fuel with these cars, it's not a full tank of fuel, but basically a normal 4 tire and fuel stop's about 8.6, I want to say, seconds, maybe about 9 at the most. So yeah, and then even if you do like fuel only, it wouldn't be a situation where you'd save really much time, if any, unless it was like just an absolute splash of fuel. And Andrew, you can speak to this. Obviously, these cars very different on coming out with cold tires versus heated tires. Is there ever a situation where you actually want to just keep the tires you have on and kind of just make that short pit stop as short as possible if it's like a splash? Or is it pretty much no matter what, you want to try to throw tires on if at all possible?
It depends on what kind of track you're racing on. If you're on a heavily abrasive track, something like a Vegas or something like that, it's always worth it to take tires, especially if you're risking the last 10 laps of a stint being a caution fest or something like that. It's going to close the field up. So if you're trying to save a little bit of time and not take the tires, that's definitely something that you want to consider, but you have to really kind of understand what the attitude of the race is. Are you running green? Are you running not? It's always a risk, but it's not so much the heating up of the tires as the problem. It's the pit out that's the problem, especially some of these tracks, 1.5 milers, where you're putting a lot of low into the right sides that are already stopped and everything. It could give you a little bit of a pit out spin or a loose moment that could eat up all that time that you saved just getting out of your box earlier. So it's kind of a hit or miss. A track like New Hampshire, I think it might be worth it to not take the tires because you're uniformly burning the tires the same amount on both sides of the track. And if you could save yourself a little bit of time and just keep your speed going on the pit in and pit out, it might pay off.
Yeah, and I think for this one, though, with it being pretty much, I'm expecting it to be a full pit stop. I don't think we'll see any fuel-only pit stops in this race. But with that, though, Andrew, I mean, we're about to get into that window because we're starting lap number 95 now, and Ryan Kelly is there. He is on that rear wing of the 6 of Matt Wagner. You know, like I said, he's going to try to keep Matt honest. And if Matt's trying to save fuel, he's in a really kind of between that rock and a hard place situation where how hard does he fight to keep the lead? But then also, again, you don't want to lose. You want to lose the track position, but you want to burn up that fuel to make sure you can make it to the end. And so, if we get to that green pit stop window, that's going to be critical as well for who can get in and out of pit road the best. Like you said too, even if it's the worn tires, the cold tires, that will be those adjustments you got to make before you start to stomp that throttle on that apron. As Ryan's going to take a peek on the inside line, Matt's up on the top. We'll see if he can make it stick. And nope, Matt's going to keep the momentum again on that outside lane. But again, Matt's going to be watching his mirrors now because I think Ryan's just going to be taking any lane that 6 car is not in. And while they've been battling, we've been mentioning him, Gary Laverne. He is in that 1 second window of Ryan Kelly. So he's creeped into that party now as well.
I got a little insider info for you. I have 5 laps myself left of fuel, and I've been saving a lot. So I imagine cars are going to be pitting any second now.
Yeah, so that's a big thing to mention too, because like you said, you pitted at that yellow where a bunch of these guys did not. So this'll be close. This might be one of those situations where both, if you can make it, you're gonna have to save on both rounds of pit stops here. So again, these guys pitted at 46. So again, if they can get to about
car ahead of me is pitting.
Yep, there's the 44 Frank Irwin Jr. He's the first one in. So say again, he was one that did pit at 46, so wasn't able to save as much as these other guys. So we'll be watching Matt here. We'll be watching Ryan, Gary Laverne. I say Gary's definitely probably been burning a lot of fuel trying to make those moves through the field here. And I think, yep, here he comes. Nope, sorry, I lied. It looked like he was, but he is not on pit road this time yet, as we just started 100. So we are at 50 to go here, Andrew. So it might be one of those ones where maybe a little bit of a double fuel save. Wayne Campbell also on pit road. And Matt's going to be now working on some dirty air here behind Bill Burrell. So this could be an opportunity once more here for Ryan Kelly. Or is this going to be one of those things where eventually he's going to have to blink and come in? But right now, I'm going to say fuel saving looks to be going well for all our leaders here, because we're starting to get very close to that 45 lap window here as we just cross 50 to go.
Looks like Eric has also peeled off. Now I have free reign to go full mix, and let's see if I can beat these guys out of the pits here.
Matt's still trying to work over Bill Burrell. Can't quite get the lap back again. They don't have to move over. Gary Laverne, Edson Santos, they are in pit road now, Andrew. That's 49 to go. So that, again, if those numbers of 45 are accurate, they may have to save about 5 laps of fuel on this final pit stop. So we'll see, does Matt, and how much more does Matt and Ryan have? And I think the answer is no more. Oh, big lock up there by Ryan, trying to avoid getting into the back of Matt Wagner. And so now here comes the over-under part, because here comes Stouffer. Stouffer, again, he pitted under that yellow, so he's going to keep going here. And so this is where these guys that are just pitting now are going to be very nervous, because they need to have those clean in and out laps here. And they don't want to see anything happen to take them out of contention. But right now, it looks like a few drivers will stay on the tail end of the lead lap. Gary Laverne is one of them. He just came out in front of Stouffer. So Stouffer will have that. As I say that, he's going to hit pit road now. So that's just about to complete the cycle. Bill Burrell will be the last driver to hit pit road, it looks like, under the scheduled pit stops. And actually, I lied. Larry Engling's staying out still in that number 67. He's stretching it far. Bill Burrell is as well. He stays out still in that number 21 car. So we'll wait and see once everything cycles through to see who is where on track position. But I'm seeing a little bit of a potential position change over the pit stop cycles here, Andrew. So this is going to get very interesting in the remaining points of this race, as looks like Bill is going to come in now. Yep, he is going to hit his pit road box at the moment. And that is going to cycle the lead to Gary Laverne, who pitted at lap 101. So only one lap before Ryan Kelly and Matt Wagner. We talked about the pace that 34 cars had, as that now moves Gary to the top spot about a second and a quarter over Matt Wagner, over Ryan Kelly, because Matt Wagner looks like, I think he overshot his pit stall here, because I'm looking at pit stop time here, Andrew, and it was about an 8-second stop for Gary, about a 9-second stop for Ryan Kelly, and a 10.9, so about 11 seconds for Matt Wagner. And just to add on to that, Gary just goes with the fastest lap of the race in that 34, and he has got clean air in front of him, gets around Bill Burrell there. That is exactly what that 34 wants to see. Now he's ready for this race to just stay clean and green if he can, because he is happy with what he's got in front of him now.
How is Andrew Wood's pit stop time?
Let's look at this Andrew Wood fella. That was an 8.08 second stop, so you were only a 1/10 of a second slower than the fastest pit time in this lane. But then we always love to talk about the pit lane time total, Andrew. And that award is going to go to you, sir, by 0.05 of a second. You were in pit lane for 33.47. Stouffer was 33.52. And then Gary Laverne is 33.53. So you nailed the in and out and your stall there. So well done, sir.
I think that's actually the luckiest thing that's happened to me in weeks now, because I have not done a pit stop under green here in a long time, and I just kind of eyeballed it, and guess it seemed to work out. Unfortunately, I'm 3 laps down, so there's not really much I could do in terms of the race, but I'm here back battling again. Whenever you're in the car, you always got to put yourself in a situation where you can feel like a race car driver, and I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to sit out of the booth and sit in the car today.
No, I say it's fun having you. Like I said, it's always fun to get your point of view. Like you said, you were seeing everything going on the track, the lanes changing and everything like that. So no, it's been really good to see the extra insight. So while everything's spread out just a little bit, we'll run through the field here. As right now, our current leader is Gary Laverne in that 34, up 5 spots from his starting position. And behind him is Ryan Kelly, they're about 1.6 seconds off. Started second, running in second. And then Matt Wagner right now is going to be probably very frustrated with that pit stop miscue, as he right now is now back to third, about 1.3 seconds off of Ryan. Got another about 2.4 seconds to Edson Santos. Right now started fourth, running in fourth. And Wayne Campbell, again, always afraid of the commentator's curse, but he is having a great run, and always got to worry about the broadcaster's curse right behind him, right next to him here. But right now,
listen, I've already had one incident with someone on the inside there. I'm keeping a wide berth this time around.
Right now, Wayne is up 7 spots, though, up into that 5th. So he started shotgunning the field, and he has worked his way into the top 5. So really solid run so far for Wayne there in that 42. Then right behind him, the 44 of Wayne Campbell. Wayne Campbell, behind him, Frank Irwin Jr. I'm going to get these names right eventually. I'm sorry, Wayne and Frank. And then behind them, Christopher. The top-off strategy does not seem to have paid off the way he was hoping for on this one, as he still sits in 7th, which is actually right where he qualified, and is currently the last car on the lead lap. Then we jump to Bill Burrell right now, who's right in front of Edson. He is the first and only car 1 lap down in that number 21. He did go the furthest on fuel, though, than most, so he went to 104. And then we got Eric Peterson sitting at 2 laps down. He is right now in the 9th position. And then Larry Yingling there sitting in the top 10. And it's one of those things where maybe didn't want it to come to fruition, but one of those Nostradamus type things, because Larry sent me a message before the race. So I'm going to hunt down the message. And so he messaged me he's waving up to the booth prior to him flipping during the race. And he messaged me during his tow saying, well, he just about did do the flip. So unfortunately, Larry is a little bit psychic there in that number 67 car. Then
it's very hard to flip around this track with all the lower speeds, but it's possible.
Yeah, well, I'll say it right now. And we got some Andrew Wood fella. He's rolling 11th right now. Obviously not the race you would want, but looking good doing it though, because you've got that wood paneling on that car. So the question is, do we know what type of wood? Are we doing vinyl planking, or what do we got there that meets the IndyCar tech specs for you?
I think we got a little bit of a balsam wood situation going on this car with a fresh stain on it. I didn't get to stain it before the green flag because obviously I didn't know I'd be racing tonight, but it's showing up here good, hopefully on the broadcast, and very, very much a rarity these days, as I haven't done a race in this series in quite some time now, since the last time we had a small grid. I think it was on a road course, I believe. So it's good to put the car back on there again, and like I said, I appreciate the shot to go out here and race with these guys again, and I feel pretty competitive, if I do say so.
No, so yeah, you definitely are looking solid there. Like I said, not the way you wanted the race to go in more ways than one, but again, still always a blast seeing you on track. And right now, let's say it's held pretty steady right now between Laverne, Kelly, Wagner. Wagner has closed the gap on Ryan. It's down to about 0.8 of a second. But again, we've talked about the air difference, and so dirty air is going to eventually start to work its wear on that number 6 car. And again, I still think these guys probably do have to do a little bit of fuel saving. They did also have that caution in between their pit stops, so they did have a little bit of extra time there saving fuel. So these guys got to make sure they're running their numbers correctly. And again, for those not familiar, there are 8 fuel maps in these cars, 1 through 5, 1 being full rich, 5 being the full lean under race conditions. 6 and 7 is more of like a butterfly fuel map for road courses instead of a linear map. And then map number 8 is a caution fuel map, very, very lean. But at the same time, though, it does not. It's not ideally, it's not a fuel map you run during green flag laps because you're going to lose a ton of time. So, yeah. So right now, some of these guys might be running a map 5, just trying to save as much as possible. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But right now, closest battle is Stouffer here working around Burrell, but he's trying to catch Frank Irwin Jr., who is got Eric Peterson right behind him. And then we still see you sneaking in there in that mix there, Andrew. Haven't found an easy way around Wayne Campbell. Like I said, I know you're maybe a little bit gun shy on this one, but so you can see there now you're going to get a good look here entering turn number 1. And we'll see how the momentum looks if it shifts back the way of that 42. And yeah, you can see, and again, I know you're giving lots of extra space, but that outside lane always is going to have that little bit of extra momentum, just as we've seen there. And is that just because you have to keep that wheel cranked extra so you kind of have that extra rotation and can't open it up as early as that outside line?
That's definitely what it is, and especially, I know I mentioned it a few times that bottom slow, low banking apron there is a little bit difficult and tricky to deal with because it hasn't spun me yet, but there's going to be the one time where I'm trying to not take someone out of the race, and then I find myself hitting it, and then the tires don't want to do anything about it. So I'm trying to take care there as well, but I don't know if I could really run anything else that's going to be good enough to keep it. And it looks like Wayne might have just lifted there saying, I'm really sick and tired of him. He's probably going to have some words with me after the race saying, you're a lap down, you're a commentator, what the hell are you doing? But it's been fun thus far, and hopefully, in these cases too, when you see someone that's faster, you always want to see what are they doing that's a little bit different than me, and why are they so much faster than me? So I'm hoping that this experience might also show these guys, oh, okay, he braked a little earlier there, he got a little bit lower here, and he had a little bit more speed here. So those are always little things, especially when I was in my time trying to learn these short tracks. There's some advantage some of these guys have, and you got to figure out what it is.
And you say that too, and I was noticing we were kind of watching the timing and scoring from where I was, and it was in those laps where he was fighting with you, staying ahead of you. He actually did run his fastest lap of the race, which was a 22:70. So he was definitely trying to hustle it to stay ahead of you there in that run. So yeah, so
it did get harder and harder to pass. I thought I had a little bit of an advantage, but then all of a sudden it went away, and then it just became a side-by-side battle, and me giving a little bit more space there to try and not cause another incident. So this experience has definitely been something.
Yeah, got Stouffer now. He has found Frank Irwin Jr. Going to try to find a way around him. And Brandon, it's anybody's guess. I'm going to say that likely I think that the guys up front can make it. I am a little nervous about Wayne Campbell. He pitted at 99. Frank Irwin Jr. pitted at 98. So to me, that's a lot of saving to make it to the end, Andrew, of course. Because that's going to be over 50 laps they have to do. But those guys going to 101, 102, say that'll be not quite as big of a task. They'll need to save about 3 to 4 laps, which, again, at a track like Loudon, instead of just sending it in there and stomping on the brakes, roll out early to try to save a little bit of fuel that way, and then kind of same thing, smooth on the exit. And again, you got a lot of fuel map buttons to play with in these cars. So, and right now you can see though Stouffer has gotten around Irwin, so move Stouffer back up to 6th. And then Ryan Kelly slowly but surely getting reeled in here by that number 6 of Matt Wagner. And say, I'm a little sad, but as I was talking about the field maps, my daughter rolled in right as I was talking about map 6 and map 7, because for those who aren't familiar, apparently a thing among the kids right now, Andrew, is apparently 6-7 is a thing, which I'm too old to understand, but
I just heard this 2 days ago, Gael, and I'm
right.
just as perplexed as you are. So
yeah. All right, well,
that means that train as well.
I feel good about that because I know you're a lot younger than me. So, yeah, so my daughter was very pleased to hear about that. So for those kids watching, yeah, we're old. We don't get what you're talking about. But, yeah, Matt is starting to roll in a little bit on this Ryan Kelly fella. And I did see a little puff of smoke off that 33 car coming out of turn 2 or 4. I can't remember which, unfortunately. And so I don't think he hit the wall, but he's definitely, you can tell he's definitely pushing that car, trying to hold on to that runner-up spot. Because like I said, I know Ryan wants to chat with me. He wants to, I'm sure he wants to pull Larry into the interview as well if he's able to get that podium spot. But right now, Matt is on a mission. He is starting to really start to reel in that number 33. You can see him right now just hiding right behind that mirror. Now Matt gets a great exit off too. You can see the gains being made. And maybe it's a Matt saving fuel early, and now he's going to go map 1 to the end. Again, we don't know the full strategy. We don't get to see the magic dials and buttons that the drivers do, which might be a good thing because otherwise everybody would be spying on everybody else. But you saw right there, Matt ran the top side last time around, and then Ryan went and reacted. He went top. Matt said, all right, I'm going to go low, and holding very steady off the exit.
I'm definitely feeling the right side tires now that I'm in very clean air and running kind of qualifying laps, as it were. The tire wear is definitely coming into play here. I don't have a lot of cars ahead of me. I only have Edson up ahead of me here that I'm tracking down little by little, but I can definitely tell that this high side definitely eats up these right side tires quite a bit, and you got to really modulate the throttle to try and keep that weight balance on both right side tires. So I can see why everyone was doing it, but as I say, week after week, clean air is king, and clean air is what's going to get you to the promised land. And yeah, if everyone's running the high side, you're going to find yourself in a loads of trouble, especially at the end of the stint here. So I think the high line is the way to go around here, but it's all about clean air when you're in that battle. So hopefully those guys that are battling up front have figured that little bit out there, and they're utilizing that strategy.
Yeah, and I think so. And I mean, right now it really depends, but everybody's really shaking lanes up around right now. We're going to focus on Gary here. We're going to see what kind of lanes he's running through 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And so it's pretty much what he's been running. He kind of enters middle, goes down to the first seam, pretty much those dots there, and then he rolls it back out here. So we'll see if he does the same thing through turns 1 and 2. Yeah, enters about at the third lane, then comes back to that second lane again, right at that first seam there on the inside there. Again, not to the white line, but to the first dotted side. And again, you can see the seams there. Those are those darker lines you can see kind of just steady across there. That's basically the paving strips when they pave this track. And so you'll see the seams are always a big topic of discussion, because if the track's hot, sometimes the seams will actually make the car even looser than if you're just able to hold the track kind of in between those seams. And yeah, so right now it seems like, yeah, like you said, the inside middle lane definitely seems to be where these guys are running pretty much consistently. Matt Wagner, he made a really big charge on Ryan Kelly, but I'm thinking either was burning too much fuel or may have burned up those tires a little bit in that 6 car, so he's having to back it off a little bit. And Andrew, these laps click by very quickly under green, just over 20 seconds. We're down to 10 to go. So I'm spying on you a little bit too on the track map. I see you hunting Edson down, so I'm sure this is for you. It's one of those, again, you're happy racing, but it's one of the competitor in you is thinking, man, if I didn't have some of those things happen, I'd be fighting for a podium here tonight too.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a good opportunity. I don't get to race these cars much anymore, so it's almost like a test session for me. And like you were mentioning in the pre-race here, the short tracks are kind of where I excel a little bit. So I'm trying a whole bunch of different things and tracking cars down. And yeah, unfortunately, those 2 neck coat incidents have hurt me a little bit in this race, but it doesn't mean that I can't go out here and still have fun and also still talk about the race at the same time, even though I'm sitting in the cockpit.
Nah, so you've been balancing both very well there with the driving and the talking, because you're not just kind of foot to the floor rolling around there. I say you're having to to throw through some gears and change some adjustments throughout the course of the race and everything. Which, speaking of which, I mean, like you said, you kind of came in just blind with everything. So, what have you had to change on the car to get you more comfortable with the ARBs, with the weight jacker? Have you done anything like that during the race to kind of dial in what you like the most?
Not just the ARBs and the weight tracker, but also the fuel maps. I've been playing around with the fuel maps, and you could definitely see that map 3 seemed to be okay, but on the exit, it was definitely when a problem, like especially when Eric Peterson was behind me there. I couldn't really get off the corner so well, so it was difficult to really try and keep that steady and try and see what the best situation was for a long-term stint. But as for the bars, I did move the front and rear bar down one each. So I went up running 5.2 for a while. I'm running 5.3 right now. Seems to roll the car pretty nicely, and the weight jacker is all the way up at around +8 or 9 right now. I started really slow in the first stint, up to around +3, +4 or so, but then I started moving it up a little bit more, and I found myself really steady around the 7-8 area. And then as the stint's gone on, the right side tires are done, especially the right front. You need a little bit more right rear balance there, so I'm up to +10 right now, 5.3 +10, nap 1.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what position it is. These guys will be fighting tooth and nail. Peterson, Yingling, they're 2 down, but they're fighting for 9th and 10 pretty aggressively here, I'd say. So they're going after to see who can kind of get the best of the rest. But I was watching Ryan Kelly, though. He hasn't given up here. I think he's trying to crack the whip a little harder here, as we're down to 3 to go here. So for Gary Laverne, he just needs to make sure he's managing that fuel map, get everything nice and clean. So we'll be keeping an eye. But Matt has definitely dropped anchor. I think Matt has definitely realized, okay, I got to work my fuel number here. Maybe it was got a little too aggressive there and said, I got to make sure I don't run out right now. So we'll keep an eye on that, because we're down to 2 to go here, Andrew. As right now, Wayne Campbell, he's starting the same thing, just slowly creep in on Edson here. But Wayne Campbell did pit at lap 99 versus 101 for Edson. So right now, though, I would normally say right now, Gary just wants to see the white flag. But in the IndyCar Series, there are no green-white checkers, but it doesn't matter. White flag is out for that number 34 car, as Ryan Kelly's about 1 second off of him in that 33, right where he started. Matt Wagner sitting in the third position there, but he has dropped off a fair chunk again, maybe just trying to make sure he got the fuel to get to the end. But Wayne Campbell's making a long charge here to the end, but at the end, though, it is going to be Gary Laverne getting the win here at New Hampshire over Ryan Kelly. Matt Wagner will still bring it home in third. That car may be sputtering to the finish there in third. And then Edson Santos is just going to hold off Wayne Campbell by about a quarter of a second. And then that Yingling-Peterson battle will go to Larry there. Like I said, those guys fighting for 9th and 10th. But Gary getting the win here tonight at New Hampshire. So, Andrew, maybe it was the blessing from you giving him that little bump, that little spin. So he recovers. He gets the win here tonight in New Hampshire, and you can see he's going to celebrate here on the front, not the front stretch. Oh no! He just made sure he passed Tech is all he did there.
I was going to say, now I'm scared to talk to him in the interview room, especially after our little incident there. So let's see how that goes.
Oh, he'll
Might
be
be a little
happy with it.
fiery.
It won't matter because he got the win, so he's good with it.
So that we have commentator's curse. Is this commentator's blessing or something?
Yeah, so it might be one of those things where if we talk about him, things go bad. If it happens on track with us, then maybe it winds up being a good thing. But he even had some fuel for a burnout too, so fuel is not an issue for that 34 car. So, but yeah, big congrats to Gary. I'll have to try to see if we can look at stats, Andrew, but I believe that may be his first Area 51 win, which would be awesome. We'll definitely have to go check on that. But what we'll do right now, though, is before we get to all that, let's go and pull up those final results, as it will be Gary Laverne getting the win tonight over Ryan Kelly, Matt Wagner, and then Edson Santos just holding off a hard charge, and Wayne Campbell there for 5th, Stouffer there in 6th, Frank Irwin Jr. in 7th, and then Bill Burrell, Larry Yingling, Eric Peterson, and of course our Andrew Wood there in 11th. And then unfortunately that early retirement from Charles Teed once he had that contact early on. He went ahead and parked it, and if I remember right from practice, he said pretty much if I crash, I'm gonna go have dinner. So I think he had an earlier dinner than maybe he was hoping, but
There were plans, yes.
yeah, he's like, I got a plan if worst case scenario. All right, so we are going to hunt some drivers on down, And I'm gonna try to see if I can put our boy Larry on the spot too, because I'm gonna see if we can do a what do you want to call it here, a crew chief interview. I always like to tease on that one, but we're gonna jump over to Matt. These are always tricky ones for me, Andrew, just because this is one of those ones where the spot they got isn't where they were wanting, of course, but also maybe expecting, just based on how things were looking. But Matt, it was you had to work tonight for that third. You start on pole. You got a little snookered on the initial start there. Ryan Kelly jumps around you on the outside lane, and then on the restart, I was is that a field map situation where maybe you were in the wrong field map and he got after you there, or I mean,
Yep.
take us through those initial the start and that restart.
Yeah, 100%. That was I accidentally restarted in Field Map 8. That wasn't the smartest of things. Andrew, I wish you were in my chat and you can remind me, put Field Maps and gears and stuff like that and stuff like that. Yeah, it was just me and Chris in there. Uh, so it was starting that race. It was very difficult on the bottom with cold tires, and I couldn't get the initial jump that I wanted. And it was that top lane was starting to work pretty good toward the end of the race there, and toward the start of the race. I never used it. I feel like probably an idiot not using most of that third lane. So coming to that last pit stop, I think I had a nice little mechanical failure in my wheel, and I just kind of took it off, and lo and behold, there's a something loose in my right. Too much pushing of the buttons over all the years, and I'm gonna have to fix it. And I couldn't get out of my box in time, so that kind of stinks. So it is what it is. So third place is nothing to be ashamed of.
No, especially now with the hiccups.
Oh no, it's mechanical. I got the wheel off right now. It's just it it sucks, but it is what it is. I'm not mad. Not mad at all. I'm pretty happy for Gary, man. You never see really Gary, win too many races. I'm pretty happy for Gary, and
I was gonna bring that up, Max. I'll say the silver lining for you was there's a certain quote that you would always say when you're up here in the booth with me was, you love first time winners, and I can tell you that's Area 51 win number one for a certain Gary
Gary,
Roberto.
really, that's awesome. Congratulations, Gary. Even if I don't get a chance to chat with him, I love first time winners. That is, that guy. So pretty stoked for him. He probably had a very nice pit stop, and I was really slow. So, we'll get him next time. It's no big deal.
Andrew,
So,
I don't
Andrew,
know
how
if you
was
have
your?
any. Yes, I don't know if you have anything to add on here, Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew. Andrew, how was your ride out there?
Eventful, unfortunately.
Eventful.
I was 66% of the cautions tonight, so
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's not good. But no, and one of them was with Gary, so that's going to be a very interesting conversation that we're going to have here shortly. But I'm curious. I know the answer to this, but did you find one side of the track a little trickier than the other to get through, especially as the
Yes.
tires started to wear? And what corners were those?
Yeah. So, the trickiest one was probably turn 3 if you try to use the bottom. I really didn't like it. I really liked the top coming up of 3 and the bottom of 1 and 2. I tried doing that combination, but uh, lo and behold, uh, Ryan Kelly was on it. He was aero blocking, but hey, I would do the same thing, and it would work well to his advantage. And man, but those tires too, those tires heat up, the track cooled off. It felt really grippy. And you put a little bit more jack on it on the third lane. The third lane was pretty awesome, but the bottom it was kind of really going away as the track was cooling off. When it was hot, the bottom was preferred.
I agree. That was the correct answer, Matt. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, it's a great job though tonight, Matt. I said apparently this was vacation week. We didn't have Craig, we didn't have Hugo, unfortunately. But like you said, though, I mean, with having a hardware failure with your wheel to still try to bring or to still be able to bring it home in third, it's a really really good job tonight, man. So yeah, like I said, definitely not one to hang your head on. So great job this evening, sir. I know you've got lots of work coming up for you this week, also with, of course, with your series. But before we let you go prep for all that, though, we got to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts for that third place tonight?
Nah, we got off this week, so it gives me a good time to. No, I got another wheel in the back, so it's on semi-retirement. Got to bring it out of retirement, so it's a big clunky wheel. So anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting. Andrew, thanks for joining the race for a little bit you out there. So it was nice seeing you on track.
It was a little bit last minute, and I was offered the opportunity, and I haven't raced here in a long time, so I said, sure, why not? This will be fun. I'll talk and drive at the same time.
I still like you guys' commentaries. It's really good. So once again, congratulations to Gary. It's pretty awesome, man. I love first time winners. It's great on him, man. Pretty happy for him, pretty stoked. 4D Raceware, all them, Jim Herrick, miss some guys. Greg being in Greece out of all places. That's crazy. So y'all take care and have a good night.
All right, great job tonight, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're gonna jump one spot forward, and I say I can't say for sure here, Andrew, but Ryan, I say I've interviewed you plenty of times on the oval side of things. I don't know if I've got an Indy interview with you before. I've been trying to stalk your Indy stats, and but they're all from like 2019, and I don't even know if we were broadcasting at that point or not. But you've had a couple Indy wins over here in Area 51, but like I said, over in 2019. So, but either way, though, I mean, Andrew and I were talking pre-race, and we've been talking about how I feel like you and Larry, unfortunately, Larry, obviously, he kind of predicted his potential flip death, which unfortunately mostly came true. But just the improvements you guys have been making throughout the season. And I mean, we've seen the pace that you've had just the last handful of weeks, just really kind of in the vying for a top 5 podium, even wins. I mean, have you noticed that like your pace and your comfort over the course of this season? Like, do you feel more comfortable in these cars as you've been going through the season?
For sure, definitely. As the season goes on, it sucks that I'm getting the finishes I'm looking for here right at the end. But with only 2 races left, but it's definitely been an improvement, and especially not having run these for a couple of years since 2019. I think it was the last time I ran a full season. So it's nice to get back into these, and especially with the tough competition here, it's nice to finally get on the podium for one of these races.
Yeah, Eric. Sorry, Ryan. Wow, I'm the wrong person there.
Right.
Ryan, what do you feel about short tracks? Are short tracks kind of your speed, or is there a certain other kind of track that you feel a little better at? Did you expect a good finish at New Hampshire or anything like that?
I was thinking probably the short tracks are a little more closer to the stock car stuff that I'm more familiar with the Indy cars, just having to be out of the gas a little more and not have as much downforce on the shorter tracks. So I think that helped me a little tonight, and I am looking forward to the last 2, and hopefully can keep getting the good finishes here.
Yeah, we're gonna have to throw you back in full time next season because, like I said, I mean, we've seen the progress, and so yeah, if you can jump to what you're doing now into next season, I mean, like I said, I don't see any reason you wouldn't be vying up against the Matts and the Craigs and the Edsons and Stovers and companies. So I mean, it's been really cool to see. Like I said, I mean, I've known you guys for years and your speed on the oval side of things on NASCAR. So it's really cool to see just again the gains and the progress you've been making with Larry over here. And yeah, so it's really fun. Like I said, it's for me on my side again, like it's like, oh yeah, I've raced these guys forever and I know what they can do and the other stuff. So yeah, selfishly though, really really cool to see. So yeah, now we got to get our boy Larry up here next time for a top 3 because we know he loves to chat. So that's going to be our next goal, I think. But
oh yeah, he's got a
he's a chatty fella.
Yeah.
But no, before we let you do your debrief with him though, got to give you the floor, man, for any thanks and shouts for that runner up this evening.
yeah, just you guys are putting on such a good show, and all the Larry for being my teammate tonight, all the drivers, and helping me out this season, and just learning the car, and all helped me with everything, and hope everyone enjoyed.
All right, great job tonight, Ryan. Look forward to seeing you on track here in a couple weeks, sir.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks is the next time.
Yes, sir. Yep, Vegas in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
And yeah, so one thing I didn't mention with Ryan on his interview as well, Andrew, was you almost see where he's right there on the replay. I mean, he was one of the few that was really running that low line, like even cutting a little bit under that white line. Like I said, and again, that's a pretty typical NASCAR line. So the fact that he was able to do that and keep that car as balanced as it was really impressive. So like I said, it's selfish a little bit, but at the same time, it's really fun when you see some guys that you've known for years to get those good results that you've just kind of seen coming. So yeah, big congrats to him, and very excited for him. Which leads us to the same situation here. One of those guys that you knew it wasn't a matter of if but when. And Gary, all it took was a little love tap from a broadcaster here to maybe get you that little extra edge. Did he make you drive angry there and get all those spots at the end?
No, I wanna apologize to Mr. Wood there if that was my fault. No, no, I was lucky. I found something in the tools that really helped me, and it was just a fun car to drive. It was fun.
Yeah, Gary, that was an unfortunate incident there. I was on your inside, and I knew I was kind of tight on the entry, so I tried to back out of it at the last second, and unfortunately, I think you swooped down a little bit, but it was still just kind of one of those things, and I was not trying to do that necessarily.
No, I know you weren't, and I probably did come down. I had a car going on the outside of me, so I do apologize for that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to apologize to me. I was just out there having some fun and seeing what I could scrape out of it. But it was a really good battle we had with Edson and Chris there as well. It took you quite a bit of time there to make that move. And then, of course, it ended in tears, but obviously the race didn't end in tears. So nice job on the win there for sure. And yeah, were you just trying to play around with the weight jacker a little bit more? Was there something a little extra that you were trying to experiment but were scared to, and then maybe found something at the end of the race there that gave you the win?
To be honest with you, once I found how to set up, or I got lucky and set up my front and rear bars, and then the weight jacker at a certain spot, I never even touched it after that. It was just throttle, messing with the throttle. I did have a really hard time passing people on the inside, though. I couldn't make it stick. I know Edson, it took me a while to get by Edson.
I can attribute that as well. It was definitely a little tougher on the inside. You get a lot of the spot on the entry in the mid part of the corner, but the exit, it just never really panned out.
Yep, exactly. But, luckily, I don't know exactly what happened to Matt, but went in the pits, came out, I was in first, and with clean air, it was just smooth sailing after that.
Yeah, and that was so let's say we talked to Matt. I guess he had a little bit of a hardware issue on his wheel. But
Right.
The thing is, though, I mean, we were watching you most of the race because it really seemed like you were one of the few cars that could actually make passes on the inside line. And like you said, you had to work for them, but we also saw when you were doing it, it wasn't one of those things where, let's say, the stereotypical like Dale Jr. slide job they love to talk about, where you throw it in there, then feed them your dirty air, and then exit. There was times where you were clear off of 2 or 4, but you knew that the momentum was going to go back their ways. So you say, I'm going to stay that groove down, let them have the outside lane, and then you'd wait that extra half a lap or a lap to then clear them cleanly and with a lot of space, and then kind of set sail into the next one. And we saw that with Edson as well, the patience you had. And the thing that if you go back and listen, I mean, I was almost kind of trying to coach you, which is probably a bad idea. So I don't know what I'm doing in these cars, but were there points where you were maybe thinking about trying different lanes, where maybe run the top side and get that momentum built up to then try to do that crossover? Andrew mentioned that the top side, you would really kind of abuse those tires. So like, what were you fighting between decisions on like, hey, this lane works well for me. But then at some point you saw Edson kind of saw you were running there and kind of started mirroring that lane.
Yeah, Edson was feeding me a lot of dirty air, but I did do that. When I finally did make the pass, I went on the high side, and then I was able to cross over and go underneath them, and that's what helped me get underneath them and make the pass.
Yeah, it was really cool to see, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure Matt chimed in. I say we always say that we love the first time winners, and like I said as well, it wasn't a matter of if but when for you, because we've seen the pace. I am going to give you crap about the burnout, making sure you pass tech there, and I gotta say, you also, I mean, you proved me wrong on the field. I was like, man, it's going to be close. These guys are going to have to be sitting right on the number. And so you're able to save just enough to do the little extra burnout too. So was and you had to work through the field as well to get back up there during the pit stop cycle. So I mean, how much were you changing your fuel maps and kind of how you were racing throughout that last green flag run to make sure you made it on the one stop to the end?
You know, I pretty much stayed in map 3 for that last stint for a while, and just kept my eye on the second place car, just making sure he wasn't catching me. And as soon as I knew I had it, I switched to map 1, and I was gone. I still had 11 gallons left. I had plenty of fuel left. So
Wow.
yeah,
you had
it
plenty
worked
We
out.
miscalculated that fuel for sure. I guess at the start of the race.
Yeah, I just got lucky there, but yeah, I had plenty.
That's good to know. I was chatting with some drivers pre-race, and I was hearing about 45 was kind of the maybe the map 1 range that we thought at least. But I remember also talking to in pre-race, there weren't a ton of guys on voice chat, so I was hanging out with Eric Peterson, and literally like within a few minutes of chatting with him during practice, he kind of pointed at you and said, I think Gary's got something tonight. It seems like he's really comfortable and has a balance. So you didn't sneak under the radar for Peterson. He saw that coming tonight. So yeah, and like I said, it was definitely one of those, it wasn't the if but when. So we love to see the first time winners, like I said, and you had to work for it. Again, I'm not giving you crap, Andrew, but you had to drive through the fields to get those spots back and nailed your pit entry and exit. I think you and Andrew were the quickest ones to get in and out of pit road during that last stop. So yeah, you did a great job tonight. Kind of just did everything right at the end to get the win here this evening. So before we let you go enjoy it, though, as always, got to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts for that win this evening?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys. You guys do a great job, as always. I want to thank Votive, Shane, uh, and that's it. It just, I'm just happy, man.
Yeah, you did a wonderful job there, and I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I was about to pass the race winner before that incident happened. So, what could have been for little old jump in the car at the last second, Andrew over here. So, I'm just here stealing your thunder, but no, it was a great job, and congrats on your first win in the series.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, go enjoy this one, Matt. Like I said, it's well deserved, and yes, we got a couple more to go in the rest of the season. I was spying on the results on the point side of things, and you jumped up 3 spots now into that top 5 as well. So again, I say, unfortunately, probably out of the running on the championship side. However, of course, I mean, I'm still looking at the numbers, and I can see definitely can still pull a 4th or 3rd in the overall points. And say as one of those things, just kind of build that momentum going into future seasons. And of course, I know you got some other leagues that you run as well. So it's just, yeah, like I said, it's always fun to kind of try to keep that momentum built up. So yeah, go enjoy this one, Gary. Like I said, we're super thrilled for you. Like I said, I'm pretty sure a bunch of the drivers were as well tonight, other than maybe ones that didn't get the win because of you. But yeah, great job tonight, man. And yeah, go enjoy this one, sir.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Take care.
All right, Andrew, that is our race winner in that number 34 of Gary Laverne. And yeah, I mean, just drove a great race tonight, like I said. And that's the thing, is sometimes it doesn't quite go to plan, but you just kind of regroup and you're like, no, I can still get a good result or whatever it may be, because you just don't know how things are going to go. And like I said, he was able to, one of those situations where maybe a bad luck thing winds up being a good luck situation, where he makes some changes. Okay, I got to work through the field. I got to make some adjustments to the weight jacker, the ARBs, and just finds the combos like, hey, this feels even better than it did earlier, and charges through. So, yeah, really fun to see. And like I said, I was talking to Peterson pre-race. He said, hey, Gary looks pretty good right now. So he called it spot on there, with him able to grab that win this evening.
Yeah, you spoke to Peterson pre-race. I spoke to him post-race, especially regarding our incident there, and it's unfortunate that, like I mentioned to Matt, that 66% of the cautions were caused by me tonight. That I had the incident with Gary and then the incident with Eric. But yeah, Eric looked at the replay and he noticed that there was a lot of net code in that one as well. So that just shows what you mentioned time and time again, the class act of these guys in these leagues. There's a little bit of misfortune that happens, and they're not quick to jump on you and say like, "Hey, you ruined my day" or something like that. So it's always really great. That's my firsthand experience dealing with guys in this league that, I've raced with in years past and everything like that. And I really want to say I had a lot of fun tonight, just kind of doing that last minute jump in there and kind of seeing what I could do. And I'm sure for the broadcast side of things, it was fun to check in on me every now and again and see how it's going and everything. So really, really great fun tonight. A whole different aspect of broadcasting that I'm pretty sure we had to kind of just go with on the fly. And I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, so I'm super grateful for you to hop in, like we said, super short notice of it. And yeah, and you hit the nail on the head where just the I don't know, just how nice and like I said, the camaraderie of the league, where you chatted with Peterson and you guys are already like, yeah, no, yeah, that's what it was. And then we come and chat with Gary, and right off the bat, I say you're both like, hey, I don't know if that was my fault or not, and like I said, there's no finger pointing, anything like that. So and that's always been really, really cool. Like I said, and that's what to me also makes leagues stand out even more from kind of when you start doing the officials or open races or whatever, is you build that kind of that camaraderie and everything like that. And so it's really fun to see, because yeah, say you got the guys that they'll celebrate your first wins, and then of course, unfortunately, in real life stuff happens, and it's one of those things everybody's got your back and stuff like that. So that's what I love about this league, is we've got such a really good core group of guys over here. And yeah, I say it's gonna be fun to get these final two races. Like I said, right now it still looks like it might be, but it's probably gonna be still between Edson and Craig. I am showing Edson stretches the lead out to about 18 now over the number 99. But again, though, with the drop weeks and everything like that, anything can change over these next two races. And Indianapolis, double points race, that is going to throw the biggest wrench into everything. So you never know. I mean, maybe that's something that can throw Matt Wagner right back in the mix if he can have a huge Indy. It's going to be fun. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But Andrew, again, thank you so much for doing these with me, and for, again, the late notice decision to get you in the car, to get an extra car out there, have a little fun, like I say, get a little better point of view as well for what you were saying throughout the course of the race. I had a fun time doing it, and I'm sure it doesn't hurt to get you in the car. It's always fun to race when you get to.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Hopefully, there's another opportunity for me to do something similar. Just give it a little bit of in-car point of view and everything like that, and we'll see if another opportunity arises in the future.
Yeah, we'll get you some prep time for the next one, though. That way you can actually not go in completely
Yes,
blind
absolutely.
and actually know what you want to do adjustments-wise and everything. But, yeah, thank you again, though. Brandon, say, spying in on the chat. I really appreciate you chiming in and kind of wondering about some stuff and kind of, yeah, just checking in with everything, too. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, I love everything you do with me over on the Super Speedway side with Boomer. It's a ton of fun. And, of course, everybody that watches and supports us here at Green Light Checkered TV, thank you all much for your support. So we'll be back for the IndyCar side in 2 weeks' time at Las Vegas. However, we will be crowning some champions on Friday and Sunday night on the Super Speedway side at Talladega. So definitely tune in for that one. So as always, though, until next time, take care, stay safe, have a good night.